everyone. Hi, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another episode reaction to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is Haarute, my name is Matt. Hello. Okay, so I could jump into the recap here, but before that, I think I need to address something that's important, which is the unfortunate passing of Michelle Trachtenberg, the actress that played Dawn in Buffy, which just happened a couple days ago at the time of recording. And people have been expressing their feelings and how sad they are over this because it's also very untimely. It's a very untimely death. She was 39 at the time of her passing. Details of her death have not been made public, and that's fine because it's mostly on the family, and apparently the family didn't want to do an autopsy to figure out what it was over religious grounds. That's fine, it's completely their call. They owe us nothing. This is not something we should pry for information on. I will say that I have, at the time of recording this, I have recorded an extra segment where I spoke about Michelle and my feelings on, everything about her and what I know about her, even if it's very little, because I'm not gonna try to pretend that I knew her personally. I didn't, or in like a parasocial way. It's like I didn't even know her name until recently, because I don't really pay that much attention to actors' names. Sometimes it takes me a while, and she's a relatively new character. But what I will say is that I very much enjoyed her character, and even some of her deliveries in the previous episode that we just watched, which was very important, very Dawn focused. I was a big fan of, and I really enjoyed what the character was, what the character is bringing into the table, the character of Dawn. But at the same time, Michelle is not Dawn. They are not the same person. One is a fictional character written by a third party. The other one is a real human being that lived with us. It's just very sad. It's just incredibly sad. And if you want to hear more about me talking about it, I recorded an entire segment that I'm going to tack onto previous video, because I think that video is more like Dawn focused, and it's gonna feel weird if that video comes out and there's no mention of it. So I'm gonna add that entire segment to that video. This one, I feel like it needs to be at the beginning here, just in case anyone missed that, because otherwise it's just gonna feel weird for me to just move forward and not even mention it, because this is very important. And I feel like I also want to give people room to grieve in a way, in the sense that I'm not just gonna sit here and pretend the show is great and I'm just having fun, and it's like, oh, I don't want to touch that. That's not what this says. It's something that's very important, because she was an important person. She is an important character, the character she played, and pretending that nothing happened would just be not just weird, it would also be bad. It would be awful. So I'm not gonna do that. So instead, I would encourage anyone to just, I guess, talk in the comments about Michelle, her performances, things that you liked about her. Ideally non-spoilery, because I might check those out just to, know more about Michelle, but it would be nice. I just kind of want to give people that space to just share their thoughts and feelings, because I think that would be nice. It's just a nice place where everyone can just talk to each other over this and maybe be able to process past this moment together. I think that that's the one thing you can maybe do. But something I did say in the previous recording, but I will repeat it here because I genuinely believe this, and it's that I think that even if her death was incredibly untimely, she was 39, that's very young. Even if that was the case, I will say that I think that at the very least, we can say that her life shone incredibly brightly, in the sense that the fact that we're all affected by it, everyone is talking about it. Like, even a friend who hasn't seen Buffy and doesn't care for it mentioned to me that his mom, that I don't think that mom also cared about Buffy, was like looking at like a news video talking about Michelle's passing, and it was this thing of like, yeah, it's a news piece that lots of people are aware of, and I think that really speaks volumes to her reach. And I think that is honestly one of the best things you could do in your life. Honestly, just having that reach, because it means that you have touched so many lives in even if in minimal ways. That's still a massive amount, and that's probably one of the best things you could say that you ever did. Most people don't get to do that, but she did, and she was very important. And if people didn't care, they wouldn't be grieving. And because people cared, it means that she did a lot. And again, I do want to create some kind of distinction between the real human being that lived and a fictional character that was written by someone else. But I think actors bring a lot of themselves into the table whenever they are portraying a character. Otherwise, actors wouldn't be that unique, but they are, because they definitely bring a lot to every single portrayal they do. I praise her performance in like a specific moment previous episode where she was just screaming. I really liked that. It felt very visceral to me. And yeah, I kind of don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of expressing my thoughts here. Just kind of going. It's kind of a bummer to start to a video, but like at the same time, I feel like it's important. We need to like address it. We need to talk about it. And I would like to give people that space to just also talk about it, to grieve. So yeah, I'm there with you, and it's also gonna be this is weird because everyone else is, well, not everyone, but you people watching this video, you have already seen this show. I haven't. So that means that now moving forward into the show, I'm just gonna feel really sad whenever I'm looking at the screen and Dawn isn't there, whenever I get to see Michelle, and I'm just gonna sit here being like, this sucks. Because like there's this like very weird feeling that you get sometimes whenever you look at someone. It's like a fragment in time that has been like saved, preserved forever, and you can see it, but the people in that portion of time are already gone. And that's what a lot of like media enables for. I listen to a lot of music from musicians that are dead. I like David Bowie a lot, and sometimes whenever I'm listening to David Bowie, I have that thought and I go like, he's gone. I'm listening to Rush and I go, Neil Peart's gone. And that also obviously even stronger carries into like movies and shows and stuff. Whenever you're watching something and you go, that person is gone, that person is no longer here. And I'm gonna have that now watching Buffy. And also because I think Buffy in season 5 and what we're doing with Dawn is something that definitely has this like emotional core. And I have said before that Dawn is, God, look at me. Like I said, I wasn't going to talk about this as long because I already recorded another segment. I'm doing it again. Jokes on fucking me. But like, I have been really vibing with Dawn this season because I feel like Dawn is probably one of the most, especially last episode, one of the most relatable characters in Buffy so far. Like, at least for me personally, right? Not for everybody. That I've been told that that's not the case by people on Patreon, but for me personally, definitely. I think top 2 characters that I relate to the most is probably like Faith and Dawn. I would maybe put Xander in 3rd, but then I look at a lot of other aspects of Xander's character and I go like, I don't want to get associated with you, man. Dawn, especially last episode, I talked about how in Buffy, I feel like maybe a lot of people who really relate and really vibe with Buffy as a character, they are kind of like the eldest daughter of the family. While Dawn is the younger sibling, I definitely relate to more to the younger sibling than the eldest daughter because I am a younger sibling and I have an eldest sister and I don't vibe with her very much. So I definitely understand exactly what this season has been doing with these 2 characters, and I've been really enjoying Dawn for that reason. But now it's just gonna make me really sad. And I don't know how to deal with that. We're just gonna have to move forward. We're just gonna have to soldier on. And for a lot of you, you can just, like, you have already seen the show a million times. I'm not going to say it's going to sting any less, but for me that I'm discovering it for the first time, and especially with season 5, it's just like, Dawn is kind of the main, like, important aspect of season 5. That is just going to make me feel like shit. Like, whenever we have any, like, big emotional Dawn moments, I'm just going to sit here like, this sucks. And Lord fucking help me if she dies. I'm just going to feel like shit. So, okay. Alright, let's move on then. Long intro. I didn't plan for it to be, but fuck it. We're all grieving, so I guess this is what it is. I don't think anyone's going to yell at me for that. I think everyone's just going to go in through the same thing right now. But something, I guess an extra thing I just want to say that I mentioned in the previous recording, but like, we can't claim to have known her personally unless you were someone that actually did. But we can't claim to like understand the pain of losing someone that was close to you, because that's not us. That's not our place to be. You know, that we cannot compare to like her family members or her close friends or anyone who actually knew her. They definitely feel this a million times more than we ever will. And I think that there's this like weird parasocial element in like fandom sometimes where we all feel like, you know, like my pain is like you don't understand the lengths of my pain. And it's like, let's not do that. Let's just address the fact that we didn't know her. So it's weird for us to like pretend that we did. But and we should actually just give that room to the people that actually did know her, you know. And I've seen that actually there has been like co-stars that have worked with her and knew her personally, that they were expressing their grief. They definitely would feel this a million times worse than we ever could, I think. So yeah, just me personally, I don't want to like go into that area as if like sounding that, you know, like my pain is so great. It's like it's really not. It just sucks. It just makes us feel like shit. And it's gonna continue to make me feel like shit. But I feel even like I feel so sorry for the people that actually did know her. For the people that are gonna have to deal with this to the brunt of this. People that truly have lost someone that they knew. And I wouldn't want to like make this about me or whatever. It's like no, I hope that everyone's doing okay. I hope that they can cope with this and move forward. All right. Rest in peace, Michelle Trachtenberg. All right, that's it for this segment. I guess we should start with Buffy now. I don't know how to segue into this, but I guess I just kind of have to. I kind of set myself up for disappointment here, but okay. What happened last week? We had a Dawn episode. It was kind of the episode where what if your younger sibling found out that they were adopted through the supernatural veil of not real or just created yesterday, 6 months ago. And also the younger sibling depressive self-harm. Love that. That makes us feel good. That makes us feel great about what just happened. It was a great Dawn episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying Dawn as a character. I'm relating to her a lot more. I've been told this before Michelle's situation. So it's weird to say this now. It feels like I'm kicking some people while they're down, but I've been told that like a lot of people didn't really like Dawn that much as a character. I feel like that might change now. I feel like some people might change that like perspective a little bit because they're just gonna start feeling bad. But I've been told that people have been seeing Dawn as like this like maybe whiny or like a character that interrupts Buffy and is just kind of annoying. And I'm just like, yeah, she's like a 14-year-old little sister. That's what she's supposed to do. That's kind of the point of her character. And maybe this is the divide between the older daughter, younger sibling fan base, because I feel like we younger sibling gang, we are definitely vibing with Dawn. We understand how she feels and we definitely understand that. But maybe the oldest daughter side of the fan base is like, fuck Dawn, she's so annoying. And it's like, well, yeah, you're Buffy. Of course you would say that. All right, that's what that episode was. But it ended really nicely. Dawn found out about the fact that she's not real. She was made by the monks and she's the key. But at the same time, we ended up coming to terms at the end where Buffy was like, you know, we are sisters. Like, no matter what, we are sisters. Like, this is our blood. We are together in this. Like, I care about you. You are real. Like, even if you were made 6 months ago, even if you were made for me to protect whatever, like, that doesn't change how I feel. So we're still sisters, okay? So that's something I really enjoyed, something I really liked. The previous episode was really good. Let's move into this next episode. Alright, that's gonna be it for the Essential Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description below, pop up on screen. You can support the channel. You can watch the next 2 episode reactions for Buffy, Angel watch alongs, all that stuff. Alright, let us begin. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 5, episode, I think it's 14. Episode 14. Let's go. I hope we get some dumb Spike shit this episode, so I can just stop feeling like shit. Whenever that motherfucker do something silly, it cheers me up.
Checking up the bar price.
He dressed up.
Fixing up his sinkhole. Especially since the flowering onion got remodeled right up the side of the menu.
They're talking like friends.
This place I'd go in for it.
Crazy development.
What are you doing at this table? Talking to me like we're some kind of talking buddies?
Thought, I don't know, you could maybe do with a bit of, company. Suit yourself. Well,
he came immediately
back.
back.
Talking like glory chipping together. I was right there with you, fighting a fight.
Actually, you were
Oh my
sleeping the
God.
sleep of the knocked unconscious.
Yeah, still, points for intent. I mean, a little consideration.
Oh
respect.
my God,
Hey,
Spike.
Evil Dead, you're in my seat.
I think we're gonna be talking about Spike at the end of this episode.
Hey, where's my change?
Did he took your fucking money? To be fair, why would you leave that unattended on the table?
Let's just call her N, for example.
I'll be right back.
Does he remember what happened? What happened to him when... Did they switch places? Like, what?
I just wanted to say thanks for looking after her.
That's okay. I'm glad Dawn's alright.
Hard for
Is
that.
Spike gonna start
you're
feeling
saying-
like shit when he looks and sees Buffy talking to Ben?
My head.
Yep.
I can do far more damage to you than you can ever do to me.
Yeah? I think you could ever hurt me.
What if Faith steps out? Well, she's in jail, but it would be cool. I know why, like, I just had a flashback to, like, when Faith showed up in time for the first time. There's, like, this vibe of, like, a drifter. Shit. This happened in Chainsaw Man once. What did he see? Alright. I like the horror of, like, not seeing what he saw. But when it was something so horrific that he reacted immediately. That's fun. Even though when we see it, it's gonna be some, like, jank-ass costume.
Back by popular demand.
You have a nice time.
Charles is here like he was the dad of the family.
Spike was there.
Unfortunately.
Well, I'm relieved that you're home. And then I remembered
I
that
ju-
Rupert was here, and I felt much, much safer.
I hate the credits. I just looked down and I saw who's showing up. Maybe it'll be a flashback, who knows?
So how was Dawn?
She's coping very well. So the best thing you can do now is behave exactly as you always have.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Thanks. Dawn! What?
I never touched your stuff.
Really? Then what happened to my blue cashmere sweater? Oh, I'm gonna stick you.
Oh,
I'm coming.
I feel bad for Harmony. I really do.
I'm the chosen.
Oh, Spike. I just don't see why he couldn't end up with Esmeralda. They could have the wedding right there, beneath the very bell tower where he labored thanklessly for all those years.
No, see, it can't end like that, because all of Quasimodo's actions were selfishly motivated. He had no moral compass, no understanding of right. Everything he did out of love for a woman who would never be able to love him back.
We're talking about Spike, by the way.
6 found
Oh,
murdered on
okay.
train at Sunnydale Station.
It was only 6 people. I thought it was more.
Vampire.
Yeah, but like, how is that any different from like anything else?
Oh, it's you.
Don?
What are you doing here lurking about?
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Does she have a crush on Spike? I mean, I don't know if she has a crush or if it's just like a cool uncle kind of situation.
I'm not a child. Not even human.
Not originally.
Doesn't seem to me it matters very much how you start out.
That's smart.
Cool.
I get that. I like how you talk to me like I can understand things.
I mentioned this when she went to hang out with Spike, and Spike was like, yeah, sure, I'll go.
I feel safe with you.
Take that back.
I mean, you have the whole super. You're just as tough as Buffy is. Maybe tougher. Buffy thinks so too.
She does?
She's always worried about what she's gonna do if you ever get that chip out of your head.
Is that right?
Oh, she's singing above me. Woo!
What else does Buffy say about me?
Oh my god.
Is Dawn with you?
Isn't she here?
No, she didn't come home from school today.
I'll find her.
Yeah.
Well, I had Hubby by the throat and promised her he'd live if she did the invite.
And did you? Let him live.
What do you think? Too much for you?
No. Keep going.
There's someone missing. It's supposed to be this little girl.
He's like telling horror stories that he was a part of.
I hear this tiny noise coming from the coal bin. It's very, very quiet.
Spike, I need your help. Donna's here.
Spike was just telling a story, and he was just at this really cool part.
What the hell is this?
She came here.
Can you please let him finish the story? Then you could do the lecture.
Okay. Let's hear the story that Spike is telling my little sister.
Right.
And everyone was fine and everyone lived and everyone was happy.
Coal bin.
Goodbye.
And then I give her to a good family in a nice home where they never ever mean to her and didn't lock her in a coal bin.
What? That's so lame.
I was just about to send her home. I knew you'd be threatened.
Why doesn't that register with you? Crypt plus vampire equals bad.
Because it was Spike.
Yeah, he's inoffensive. And not just inoffensive, like He's the cool uncle. Well, the cool maybe soon to be boyfriend.
You have a crush on him.
No, I don't. He's got cool hair and he wears cool leather coats and stuff. And he doesn't treat me like an alien.
He's a
That's the most important part.
You cannot have a crush on something that is dead and evil and a vampire.
Right, that's why you're never with Angel for 3 years.
Angel's different. He has a soul.
Spike has a chip. Same diff.
It's not. It's very different.
I like hanging out with him is all. Even if I did have a crush, you wouldn't notice in a million years. Not with you around.
What does that mean?
Spike's totally into you.
Is that...
Oh, come on. You didn't notice.
Yeah, that's not news for
Buffy,
you.
Spike's completely in love with you.
She just didn't want to accept it, I guess.
Huh?
Girl, remember that one time on the Spike episode where he like tried to kiss her or whatever, and then she was like, "With you, Spike, never." Like that did happen. You can't pretend to be clueless, girl.
Xander?
What?
Never mind.
No, talk.
It's just that Dawn said that. Forget it.
Oh God, is
Buffy.
Buffy trying?
She thinks that. She said that
Let her go.
Spike's in love with me. I'm not joking.
Oh, I hope not. It's funnier if it's true.
Xander, this is serious.
The reason why this is an issue is because Buffy feels like she might entertain that a little bit.
She was hanging out with Spike.
Buffy was just sitting where a corpse was. There was the tape there.
I always knew that he had this weird fixation with me.
I'm the one she has a crush on. Me.
Oh my God, Samuel.
Besides, I'm not the cool one anymore? Why is that okay?
Well, that's to give away that that's Drusilla.
So they thought
That's
that it
Spike on the
was,
other
and I
side.
ordered 2
Spike,
shipments
Spike,
every day
yes!
on my-
I knew it! He's infiltrating into Buffy's household.
Spike came by to apologize for yesterday. I got talking about the gallery.
Oh, don't get us all laughing again, Joyce. Anyhow, I really need to talk to your eldest. Got a bit of info you might be keen on knowing.
Sorry, all out of cash. Why don't you hit on Giles? Hit up.
I got a beat on the guy who killed those people. The ones on the train.
Do tell.
Wonder better than that, I'll show. What's the matter?
Buffy's both weirded out by it and also kind of into it. That's so crazy to me. At least that's my rating right now.
I wanna be sedated.
Do you like the Ramones?
Hello.
Slayer.
Well, that was sad.
They just ran and you just let him?
These vamps have been here for a while. They had nothing to do with last night's murders.
Yeah.
Looks like you've wasted my time.
Okay, so he had nothing on this. He was just making shit up to spend time with her.
What are you doing?
It was... I wasn't thinking.
What is this?
Oh, don't get your knickers twisted. I was...
What is this?
It's confronted.
Is this a date?
Please? A date? You are completely off your bird. I mean, do you want it to be?
Oh my god.
I can't deal with this. Buffy's also like, oh.
Are you out of your mind?
It's not so unusual.
Tom Jones?
In the workplace, feelings develop.
No feelings do not
The
develop.
worst
No
part about it
feelings.
is that he has to be so creepy about it.
There's something between us.
Loathing. Disgust.
Heat, desire.
Kiss misses.
Angel was good.
That can be too. I've changed, Buffy.
What, that chip in your head?
I have to.
That's not change. That's just holding you back. You're like a serial killer in prison.
Women marry him all the time. But I'm not like that. Something's happening to me. I can't stop thinking about you. And if that means turning my back on the whole evil thing.
You don't know what you mean. You don't know what feelings are.
I damn well do. This is real here. I love...
Don't say it. I'm going.
Come on, we need to
We
talk.
don't need to do anything. There is no we.
Buffy.
Is Drusilla here?
A happy memory.
Yes! I love Drusilla. I'm so happy she's an angel. I was so happy when she appeared again. I love Drusilla so much.
Darla got mojoed back from the beyond. You vamped her.
Although, Didn't care for Angelus setting us on fire.
And this has got you, what, all nostalgic now, has it?
I want us to be a family again, my William. Come back with me.
I've done the whole LA scene, Drew. Didn't agree with me.
Yeah, Angel kicked my ass and I left.
Besides, I've got a sweet little setup here in Sunny D. Not to mention all the tasty townies I can eat.
Naughty. Shh. Poor boy.
Oh, she can see the chip.
Tin soldiers put funny little knickknacks in your brain. Can't hunt, can't hurt, can't kill.
So you've heard. Poor Spike's become a cautionary tale for vampires, right? You better be good, kiddies, or else they might wire you up someday.
I don't believe in science. I trust eyes and heart alone.
Drew's so cool.
You're a killer, born to slash and bash and bleed like beautiful poetry.
This is kind of cool. This is putting the ball in Spike's court to like choose what he wants to be.
But the pain, love, you don't understand. It's searing. It's blinding.
All in your head.
He experiences emotion. He feels bad.
Electricity lies, Spike. It tells you you're not a bad dog, but you are.
Drew's so fun.
What the heck is this? Our little sex game was just the beginning. Now you've gone and picked up some cheap queen of the damned to dress up like your precious Drewzilla. My answer is the same as always. No threesomes unless it's boy, boy, girl, or Charlize Theron.
Exceptions.
Moron. This is Drusilla.
Oh, you've got some nerve showing up here like this. After breaking my sweet boo-boo's heart? Do you have any idea? I mean, serious trust issues. So it's no use you crawling back to him.
I think it'd be best now if you hit the road.
Why? Because she's back?
No. Because I am.
Okay. To be fair, he didn't kill her. I thought he was going to, but he just like knocked her aside.
He said, I love you.
Well, I cut him out before the last word.
Did you unintentionally lead him on in any way? Send him signals?
I do beat him up a lot.
Yeah, that, but
For Spike, that's like third base.
yeah, that's kind of on him for being the way that he is.
He could become dangerous.
Well, he can't. It's just gonna be really weird and creepy.
Buffy, you have to talk to him again.
What? No. I have to avoid him again.
If he thinks there's even a little chance with you, there's no telling what he'll do.
Is Drusilla just gonna murder a bunch of people at the Rollins and Spike is gonna drink with them? This band is cool. Much cooler than the previous one.
Better to nip this in the bud before
The bud nips me.
exactly.
Dead. Dead. I mean, if there was no choice to make, he wouldn't feel conflicted about it. This fucking dungeon he has. Oh my god. She's like, oh, he wasn't lying. He actually was just every fucking second thinking about me.
See anything interesting?
What happened? Me.
Come back, she did. Couldn't live without me.
My boy's been feeding again. But I know what he really wants to eat.
Rude playing.
I like it when you're all dour and straight to business like.
Alright. What are we doing? I'm not done calling it like, oh, he's good or whatever. No, this is... What are we doing?
There she is.
Are you gonna torture both of your... Like, your ex and your now crush? To try and figure out what you want to do?
Not nice to change the game in mid-play, Spike.
I'm gonna prove something. I love you.
Oh my god.
Hey, no, look at me. I love you. You're all I bloody think about. You're in my gut, my throat. I'm drowning in your summers. I'm drowning in you.
I knew. Before you did.
She did. She very much did.
The pixies in my head whispered it to me.
We saw it.
Tell me that there isn't anything there between you and
She's still talking.
Whatever you think you're feeling, it's not love. You can't love without a soul. Oh, we can, you know. We can love quite well, if not wisely.
Still don't think I mean it. You want proof? I'm gonna kill Drusilla for you.
That doesn't prove anything. Except that you're a sick, miserable vampire that I should have dusted a long time ago.
Don't mock this.
Don't mock yourself.
This is Drusilla, girl. Do you have the slightest idea of what she means to me? It's the face of my salvation. She delivered me from mediocrity. For over a century, we cut a swath through continents. Never stopped taking me to new depths. I was a lucky bloke, just to touch such a black beauty.
Ow.
So you see, it means something.
Not to me. Kill her, why do I care?
If you don't admit that there's something there, some tiny feeling for me, then I'll untie Drew and let her kill you instead.
Yes, please. I like that game much more.
This is crazy.
A crumb. The barest smidgen. Maybe. Someday there's a chance.
The only chance you had with me was when I was unconscious.
Oh! What the bleeding hell is wrong with you bloody women?
Oh my god.
What? Why do you bitches torture me? I don't know why I even bother, you know. It's your fault. You're the one to blame for all this, you know. If you hadn't left me for that chaos demon, I never would have come back here. Never would have had this sodding chip in my skull. And you wouldn't be able to touch me because this, with you, is wrong. I know it. Not a complete idiot. You think I like having you in here? Destroying everything that was me until all that's left is you in a dead shell. You say you hate it, but you won't leave.
That was like the actual most honest he's been.
There won't be any more bins to cock up things for stuff.
I'm so glad that it's Harmony.
You forget about me again? The actual girlfriend? I gave you the best bunch of months of my life.
To be fair, she was very cool and supportive earlier in this episode.
Teach our naughty boy a lesson.
Oh, so now you're all ganging up.
I thought I could change you, Spike. I thought maybe if I gave and I gave and gave, maybe you'd come around. Maybe be a little nicer. Stop treating me like your dog. But now I see it's you. You're the dog who needs to be put...
This is like a crazy episode. One of them's free. And they just start beating up each other. She's kicking Drusilla's ass while being tied. Free her. But like, why would Buffy be like, okay, we're cool now or whatever? Like,
So lost. Even I can't help you now.
goodbye. I'm back to Angel.
And you can say goodbye to this. Because you're not gonna see it anymore. Unless you run into me somewhere and it's me walking away from you.
We have Swerve into gags from something fucking crazy. Yeah, beat him up. Absolutely. It should be more than one punch, but sure. Fucking dude!
We had a fight. It's not a first love. It doesn't have to change anything.
It changes everything, Spike. I want you out. I want you out of this town. I want you off this planet. You don't come near me, my friends, or my family again, ever. Understand?
We have something, Buffy. It's not pretty, but it's real. And there's nothing either one of us can do about it. Like it or not, I'm in your life. You can't just shut me out.
Spell. He's still gonna be stalking outside of your house like he does every night, so. Okay, and the episode's just over. Cool. We don't get more than that. It's just that episode took me for a fucking ride. Fucking crazy episode with Spike here, honestly. Like, I did mention that I kind of wish we got some like dumb Spike shit this episode, just so it would make it would kind of detract a little from the sad reality that we live in. So I would just get distracted by him doing some goofy shit. I mean, I got a lot of that, but at the same time, I also got a lot of just really uncomfortable stuff. Because like, okay, you know what? It's good that I haven't been talking about Spike a little bit for the past whatever amount of episodes, because it all comes to this episode. Like, that's the entirety of this episode is just gonna be that. It's just gonna be what is happening with Spike. So there is a scene here where Willow and Tara are discussing the novel The Hunchback of Notre Dame to Buffy, and it was so clear to me when they're talking about it. I was just like, they're talking about Spike, by the way, because they are. So what they say is the following: I don't see why he couldn't end up with Esmeralda. They could have the wedding right there beneath the Barry Bell Tower, where he labored thanklessly for all those years. And then Tara rebuttals with, no, it can't end like that, because Quasimodo's actions were selfishly motivated. He had no moral compass, no understanding of right. Everything he did was out of love for a woman who would never love him. Also, you can tell it's not going to have a happy ending when the main guy's all bumpy, which is kind of the joke, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe it's a comment on Spike's vampire nature. So I went into the Wikipedia article for the novel and also for Quasimodo, the character. I should actually read the Esmeralda article if we can find that, because that is, I think, more important probably. Okay, I just read the Esmeralda article here. There is this comparison made to Quasimodo and Spike here, but Spike's actions in this episode are more mirroring the character of Frollo, it seems like. Which, like, okay, nobody wants to hear me do some literary comparisons to a novel I haven't read. I just read, like, the summary in Wikipedia. So I'm not gonna do that. But, like, the character of Frollo here seems like a desperate guy who's obsessively stalking Esmeralda. And it just sets up several ultimatums to essentially say, you're either coming with me or you're gonna die. And the novel ends in a tragedy. I'm going to assume that the Disney movie doesn't end in a tragedy. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to assume that Disney doesn't do that. Maybe they did back in the day. I don't know. I was never a Disney kid. I never watched many Disney movies, so I don't know how that ends. But I'm going to bet it doesn't end like this, because this is very sad. The novel ends with Esmeralda essentially saying fuck you and accepting her death, says fucking kill me, execute me, and she does. She ends up being executed. Quasimodo eventually finds out that happened, sees her corpse. He kills Frollo, which is the guy who was stalking obsessively Esmeralda, tried to assault her, and he just fucking kills him, and then he tracks down her dead body, and then he clutches onto her dead body and starves to death. And then they find, like years later, they found both of the remains of the bones, and when they touch him, Quasimodo's bones turn to dust. And that's the end of the novel. That's how Notre Dame ends. Very sad. There's a lot there. I just wanted to be a little bit informed into the direct comparison that this episode wanted to do here, because it seems like they were comparing Spike to Quasimodo and Buffy to Esmeralda. This episode felt more like Frollo. Frollo is the obsessive, stalky guy. I will say this. I haven't read YouTube comments in a while for Buffy, but something I do remember is that there was this weird divide in how people felt about Spike. People felt very positively, and by positively I meant, I just remember Spike being introduced, and like I remember reading a comment that was like, there he goes, there's my baby girl, there's the guy I just want to fuck like immediately as soon as he came out, or whatever. I don't remember what people said, but I remember reading something like that. It was like, this was my sexual awakening, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, I didn't ask for that information, but sure, it does give me a clear view as to what's happening here. And over time, I have become aware that seems to be that seems to be pretty normal here in the Buffy fandom. People see Spike like that. And that was clear to me whenever we started doing season 4 and season 5, when Spike has shifted from this like evil, quirky vampire that was kind of really cool and kind of really fun, and now he has become this like shadow of his old self, where he's this like baby girl, like obsessed with love, and he's just so fucking pathetic, and he's just full of gags and jokes, and it's just like he's so different from what he used to be against his will. I compare him to like a cat at one point. It was like he's trying to be mean, but you just like hose him down, and he's a house cat, not even a wild cat, just a house cat. He's been domesticated. Like that's kind of how I felt like about Spike, and that made it so clear to me how people are now getting this a character who's a bad boy, like aesthetically, and he was in the past, but now he has been, I guess, emasculated, for a lack of a better word. Like that's actually just what happened to him. And if there's something I have come to learn in my 13 years on Tumblr, long time, is that that's what the people want. that's what the people want. And maybe Spike was actually one of the early adopters of that belief in fandom, is that this is what the people want. This is what the people like. People like this dude who's like bad and evil, but he's actually not. He's actually kind of pathetic and wimpy, and he hates that he is that, which actually makes him even more adorable. So that's what people are into. So that was what I saw with Spike immediately, and over time that made only more and more sense. However, something I also saw is the sentiment of fuck Spike. I hate him. Fucking kill him. I saw that. That was something I did see as well, which was weird because it was this thing of people had very strong emotions about this fucking character, either one way or the other. Like, it was very clear that it was like a complete, I love him, he is my everything, or I hate him, I want him dead. Get this fucking fool off my face. And because of that, Spike has always been this character where I look at him and honestly, like, everything that happens with Spike, I can only think about like this is a very interesting character. This is a very intriguing character. They're doing a lot with this character, and it's kind of cool the fact that they're doing so much with this character who is a side character. Like, he's kind of going into main character at this point, but like he's a side character who went from main antagonist to doesn't want to be an antagonist, or at least he's selfishly helping the main character. Then he just fucking leaves. He comes back and he's like, my girlfriend dumped me, and then he goes out again. And then he comes back and he's like, I'm bad. And then he stops being bad, but like he's bad, but like he just has the chips. And then he suddenly becomes a sitcom character. And then he's like, oh, actually, I'm fucking in love with this character. He's in love with the main character, and like he can't stop doing anything. And then we just gone on that bit to a point where it's like almost ridiculous. And now we're here. I will say that this episode has made me like Spike a lot less. I'm sorry, Spike people. This is kind of where I'm standing. I'm standing in the middle, and I'm waiting to see what the show shows me. And based on what the show wants to show me, I'm either going to jump to a side or I'm going to jump to the other. I'm right now moving towards the negative side. I'm not liking him. Fuck this fool. Kill his ass. But at the same time, I do think he's fun. I think his character is so interesting, what we're doing with him, that I don't want him to leave the show. But god fucking damn it, he made me uncomfortable this fucking episode. And like, okay, here's where I'm standing. This is my situation right now. I look at Buffy Summers, and all I think about is how many episodes until she dates Spike. Like, for real. That's all I'm thinking about. Because if there's one thing I know about Buffy Summers, it's that she will date any boy you put in front of her. God damn it. There's a lot we can say about her as a character, about the reasons why that happens or whatever. It will happen. I have a strong confidence in that happening. Unless a different boy gets introduced and she falls for that boy first, which I guess could be Ben, but Ben is not like a real person, so I don't know. It seems like it's gonna be Spike. Like, there wouldn't be this much drama regarding the two of them if it wouldn't be with Spike. And that just makes me feel worse. Because all I can think about is like, if this relationship happens, I'm not saying it will, but I have a strong sense that it will. All I can think about is like, how the fuck do you justify like it happening while Spike is also this much of a piece of shit? And here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is very important. We're going to be talking about Spike, and we're going to be talking about love conceptually. something that Spike does that and this is why it sucks, is that Spike is doing all of these things for Buffy, and we've been seeing it in the previous episodes. Like, there was that episode where there was the Nordic guy, or the troll guy. He attacked like the bronze or whatever, and there were people injured, and Spike just like, he just kind of like pretended to help, or like vaguely helped, and he was like, I'm not drinking this woman because that would be bad. And Buffy was like, wait, you want me to reward you for not drinking her? And he's like, yeah. Buffy's like, fuck you. And it's this thing where like Spike is doing things specifically for Buffy's like approval. He doesn't just want to do that, he actively wants her to reward him for it, and he asks for that. He's like, yeah, reward me. And here's the thing, I'm being reminded of something that Siobhan Thompson said in one of the Adventuring Party episodes for Never After, which I watch a lot of Dimension 20, so I fucking love Dropout. But I'm being reminded of something she said, which I really just, I thought about it and I was like, that's absolutely true. And I love that she said that and put it so succinctly, which is, I think one of the most toxic things in our like current society is the idea that love is a reward for good behavior. I really like that. I really like hearing that. And I look at Spike and I see that. And we can talk about Spike in that way, in the sense that everything he seems to be doing is, I want Buffy to like me, so I'm gonna do all of these things just for her to like me. And I'm gonna expect her to like me as a result. And that fucking sucks. And that doesn't work that way. Because like, yes, if you do nice things, people might like you more. That makes sense, because if you're an asshole, people are not going to like you. But you shouldn't expect that to be the case. And even beyond that point, to expect love from it, like not just like people liking you, but also just people falling in love with you, is not. It's not something. It's not a good thing. Not just for you, but more so for the person who you are putting in that position. And that other person should never feel obligated to do that. And in fact, they won't. That's not how it's going to happen. And feeling like you're expecting for that to be the case, like it speaks volumes of you as a horrible person. Like, very selfish and self-centered, expecting someone else to just kind of subject themselves to that. Okay, we can talk about Spike as a vampire and how a vampire can feel or may feel, or how they might interpret love. And we can, like, put it all in vampires. But regardless of what that is, regardless if it's, like, part of being a vampire or whatever, like, it still fucking sucks. It's still, like, an incredibly toxic thing to do. However, and this is important, and I hate that I have to say it, because I hate it conceptually, but it is something that, you know, might happen, so I have to say it, is that if love is not a reward for good behavior, that also means that the inverse is also true. Bad behavior is not necessarily a deal breaker for love. And in my head, I'm thinking about Buffy, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, if this girl ends up dating Spike, which I can see 100% happening, it will be hinging on that context, because Spike is a piece of shit. But I guess now we're gonna have to start talking about Buffy being into bad boys or whatever, which is something that everybody has said, but like the entire time everyone has said that, I just kept thinking like, I don't know about that. However, maybe that is something to think about, because if Spike is a piece of shit, but Buffy is still like really into him, then like, I mean, this is such a weird situation. We have no clear indication that Buffy wants to ever be with Spike. In fact, she explicitly states the opposite many times. So there is no reason for us to believe that. If it were to happen, it would be first crazy, but also it would like weirdly validate Spike, which I don't want to give him that, but it might happen. The idea that Spike is a piece of shit, but Buffy is still like, wait, I'm kind of into that. Like, that could happen. And if it happens, like, there's nothing you can really say about that. It's just like, well, Buffy just has extremely shitty taste in men. Okay, but I can't really tell her like, no, don't do that or whatever, because it's our choice at the end of the day. So like, sure, if that's what you want to do with your life, girl, and she understands Spike is a piece of shit, okay. I guess it would be a more, and that's the weird part, is that it would be a more honest version of love, where like if things didn't work out with Riley, maybe it's because Buffy wasn't into that kind of guy, and maybe Spike was right when he was saying all that shit to Riley. It was like maybe he's into something crazier like me, or not crazier, but like obsessive, I guess, in a way, where if Riley went behind Buffy's back and got some vampire horse to suck his blood or whatever because he wanted to feel needed, and that was a bad thing to do, and I'm not gonna deny that, maybe the right thing to do would be to, I guess, yell at the person that you want them to love you, you want them to need you, and just kidnap them and chain them and force them to fucking agree with the fact that they love you, or you're gonna kill them. So is that where we're going? It might be where we're going. I don't know, because like that is the opposite of what Riley did. If anything, Riley was secretive about his needs. He was like, I'm not gonna express my needs, and because I don't express my needs, it gets to the point where like I have to like find my needs somewhere else. Spike is doing nothing but vocalizing his needs. He's demanding his needs, which is the opposite. So maybe that'll work, but I don't want it to work. And I suppose I have to have a little more faith in Buffy to not let that work. But the worst part is that I can see it working. And that's the thing, is that like when I was watching the first half of this episode, not the second half. The second half I was like, what the fuck to Spike. But the first half of the episode, all I can think about is that like Buffy has this like weird sense of, I think she's into Spike. And she's not saying that she is, but I think she is. Because whenever she brought it up to like Xander, Xander just started laughing. Buffy wasn't laughing. What Buffy was like concerned. And there is no reason for Buffy to feel concerned unless she cared. Why would she care about what Spike feels? And that's where all of this comes down to, is that like I'm watching it happen and Buffy's so concerned about like how Spike is acting, how Spike is feeling, and like, oh my god, does he have a crush on me? And she keeps going like, it's gross, it's icky, like it's concerning, I hate it, he's stalking me or whatever. But we know she could just kill him. She could just do anything to him. We could solve the problem so easily, and she doesn't. The reason why she doesn't solve the problem is because I think that there is a part of her that likes him. I don't know if likes him in like a love sense, but she enjoyed his company to some degree. Even if she says she doesn't, I think she does. In like, at least like, oh, this is the weird dude that is always just hanging around me. But like, you know, I don't know. He's fun. You know, he's a little fun, so I'm not gonna like get pissed at him or whatever. Or like, she does get pissed at him, but she doesn't push him away completely. And that's the thing, is that she keeps going. Like, when Dawn went missing, she was like, she came to Spike for help. She was like, Spike, I need your help. And it's this thing of like, why would she go to Spike? If she didn't like count him as like part of like the gang in a way. So there is a part of him where Spike has become part of the gang. He has become part of like Buffy's friends or whatever. As much as she says he's not, I think that he is. And the fact that she keeps denying it has to come from somewhere. And the level of denial that Buffy was in, because I mentioned it when I was watching the episode, is that in the Spike episode, I don't remember what the name of the episode was, but I can actually check, actually. Fool for Love. It was Fool for Love. In Fool for Love, Spike, he had this moment where he tried to kiss Buffy. Like, they were being antagonistic and everything, but at one point he tried to kiss her, and Buffy was like, she pushed him away, knocked him to the floor, and she was like, what are you doing? And then she went, with you, Spike? Never. And then she just left. And in my head, I interpreted that as Buffy, okay, in that moment, Buffy realized Spike's obsession with her and that he was into her on some level, and she rejected him outright. But now it is being presented to us that Buffy didn't realize that that's what Spike felt like. And all I can think about is like, girl. She knew. She had to have known. Like, after that interaction in Full for Love, there was no way she didn't know, unless she deliberately didn't want to know. She literally closed her eyes and went like, I do not see it. She was like, I don't want to know. But she had to have known. And they mentioned it in, I don't remember what it was, but like at some point in this episode, they kind of mentioned like you didn't notice or something like that. Like you couldn't notice before. And at one point they asked her like, didn't you lead your mom in some way? And like Buffy was like, I guess I beat him up a lot. And it's this thing of like, yeah, you keep, and that's where Spike's obsession came in earlier in the season. We saw it where it's like she keeps beating him up. She keeps like bursting in the middle of the night, just being like Spike and just fucking just pushing him against the wall and just beating him up and then leaving. And it's this thing of like Spike doesn't have a second to feel like he can be worrying about Buffy, and at some point that just flips into like I can't stop thinking about Buffy. So then she invades every waking second that I have, and it's like, oh fuck, I guess this is where I am. So I think that if Buffy didn't feel like that could be a thought that could be entertained even a little bit, she wouldn't be freaking out to the degree that she was freaking out in this episode. We see it multiple times that she's actively concerned about Spike and how Spike feels, and that he sees her with like he has a crush on her. If she didn't care, that wouldn't affect her. But the fact that she does care shows us that there is more to this. And that's why I'm concerned about Buffy's future choices. I can see a world where some bullshit happens and Spike is like the only person there, and then Buffy just kind of weirdly gives in, and then she's like, you know what, I kind of like that, and then here we go. Buffy has a new bad boyfriend, and it's the worst boyfriend she could have. But maybe this is the most honest relationship that Buffy could have, because Buffy is like, well, I'm not rewarding him for good behavior or anything. He's actively the worst human I know. Because that's weirdly the other thing is that like Spike has been being good, so, and Buffy hasn't been rewarding that. But maybe now that Spike did all the fucking bullshit that he did in this episode, where he was actively just a piece of shit, he was stalking, he was obsessive, he chained her and then faced her and his ex, and he was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, woman? Why do you keep making me suffer? And it's this thing of like, he could not be more self-centered, he could not be more selfish. Like, he's just, these are my emotions and you keep torturing me, why do you do this to me? Maybe Buffy likes that. Maybe Buffy likes just like a pathetic sad boy who's just a fucking incel, who's just like, you know, like, I have all of these emotions, they're so strong, and it's your fucking fault for making me feel them, fuck you. And then Buffy's like, maybe I like that. Maybe I like someone who's so openly clear about their emotions, they feel them so strongly and they cannot contain them. Maybe that's my jam. Because, you know, Angel, very quiet, very sad boy, just brooding in silence. Riley, he literally went out behind my back to try and like find his kind of release somewhere else instead of like expressing his feelings to me. Maybe what I need is someone who actively screams at me what his feelings are and also tells me that I am hurting him because I'm making him feel them. So it's like my fault that he's feeling them. That is an incredibly toxic series of thoughts. However, is that an improvement? Is that what Buffy Summers needs? Or more importantly, is that what Buffy Summers wants? I don't know. I can't make that call for her. I don't fucking know what she's gonna do. Because again, if love is not a reward for good behavior, which it isn't, bad behavior is not a deal breaker for love either. Love is weird like that. So maybe Buffy is gonna be into that shit. I'm not saying that she should, but she might. That's her call. And I'm gonna bring something that's interesting here, because I was looking at the Wikipedia articles for Hunchback and some of those characters, and there's a part here for Quasimodo, the section of symbolism. In the novel, Quasimodo symbolically shows Esmeralda the differences between himself and the handsome yet self-centered Captain Phoebus, with whom the girl has become infatuated. He places two vases in her room. One is a beautiful crystal vase, yet broken and filled with dry, withered flowers. The other is a humble pot, yet filled with beautiful, fragrant flowers. Esmeralda takes the withered flowers from the crystal vase and presses them passionately on her heart. What we're meant to grab here, and just for context, Quasimodo is this figure, hunchback, this lumpy, like Tara said. He's like deaf. He's weird. There's a lot of elements of him that are just not appealing. In fact, Esmeralda is afraid of him at first. And let's read the Captain Phoebus here, the character who I just mentioned. In the original novel, Phoebus is an antagonist despite being of noble birth and very handsome. He's also vain, untrustworthy, and a womanizer. He saves Esmeralda from Quasimodo and she falls in love with him. Phoebus makes a convincing show of returning her affections, but merely wants the night of passion. Esmeralda arranges to meet Phoebus and tells him of her love for him, but he convinces her that he feels the same way about her. He is in fact engaged with his cousin, a spiteful socialite who is jealous of Esmeralda's beauty. He also agreed to let Frollo, the fucking freak stalker, spy his meeting with Esmeralda. The decision proves to be his undoing, since as the couple prepare to have sex, the jealous Frollo attacks Phoebus and stabs him in the back. He's not dead, he recovers from his injury, but it does not stop Esmeralda from being tried and sentenced to death for attempted murder and witchcraft. Phoebus has the power to prove her innocence, but he remains silent in fear of having his adultery exposed. In the end of the novel, he marries Fleur de Lis and watches Esmeralda's execution with apparently little to no remorse. And that is interesting because if we're directly going to address this novel, Hunchback of Notre Dame, in the episode, now I have to actually look at this novel and start looking at some of its themes and what it's saying. And what's important here is that we have this direct symbolism with Quasimodo trying to explain the vases in case it wasn't obvious. One is a beautiful crystal vase, but it's broken and filled with dry withered flowers. So it had a very pretty outside exterior, but it's bad inside. And the other one is a humble pot, which is very just common. It's very shitty. It doesn't have anything special to it, but it does have beautiful fragrant flowers inside. And Esmeralda takes the withered flowers that are shitty and presses them passionately to her heart. So she fell for the crystal cute exterior rather than instead looking at the flowers for what the value of the flowers themselves are. And that is kind of also part of the tragedy of this novel is that this piece of shit, Captain Phoebus, he's handsome, but he's a piece of shit. He doesn't care for her at all, but she's obsessed with him. She's infatuated with him, and she doesn't care about Quasimodo, who is this hunchback, who, even after she is dead, he decides to starve himself and just lay down next to her corpse until he dies. Because he felt like that was the only person that genuinely cared about him at all. So maybe Spike is not Quasimodo and is not Frollo. Maybe he's Captain Phoebus. Because maybe Spike is meant to tell you that, hey, maybe Buffy is gonna fall for him on some, I don't know how the fuck that's gonna happen, but it might. And if it does happen, maybe we can say that Buffy is actively making a bad choice in the same way that Esmeralda did by falling for Captain Phoebus instead of acknowledging Quasimodo's more humble and caring interior just by judging him by his exterior. I don't know who Quasimodo would be in this situation. I don't think there is a direct comparison to Quasimodo. Maybe all we're saying is that Buffy makes bad choices with men. But that will only be the case if Buffy falls for Spike in some way. Maybe she decides to start dating him in a weird way. But the first half of this episode, again, I want to keep saying, is that the fact that Buffy cared that much about Spike's crush, I think is indicative of the fact that Buffy cared about his crush at all, which if she didn't have any feelings towards that, she wouldn't mind. It would just be like, okay, that dude's weird, whatever. I'm stronger than him, I can beat him up, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I shouldn't feel threatened by him at all. It's creepy, sure, but there is a million ways to solve this problem. Maybe she feels well, I can't kill him, he's Spike, At that point, then all of her threats, they don't matter anymore, because Buffy keeps going fuck you, I'll kill you, and it's well, she's not gonna, because if she wanted to, she would have done so already. So why is she not doing so? And it's well, because she likes him a little bit. I don't mean in a romantic sense necessarily, but she likes to have him around, and he has become kind of a weird friend, even if she says he hasn't. That seems to be the case. She wouldn't be spending so much fucking time with him. She wouldn't be going to him for help if that wasn't the case. And then if Spike is that friend, then there is no reason why he could not go up to potential love interest. Other than Buffy, I feel, being in denial. Because just based on what we see from Buffy is not being completely honest with herself. And I want to make it very clear that I don't necessarily like that from a spectator perspective. I want to see that. I want to see Buffy make these awful, horrid decisions regarding her love interests. in the same way that I don't want to see Spike doing any of the bullshit that he just did, because that made me feel bad. But I know I have this fear that it might happen, and I feel like I haven't been talking about Spike that much this episode, this whole discussion, even though that is like the most important part of the episode. But I feel like it's because I don't know what else to say. Like, Spike was a piece of shit this episode. Like, there's like I'm not here gonna like try to like defend it in any way. It's just like he was just so creepy, and he was just so manipulative a little bit, and he kept making bad decisions one after the other. There's nuance to some of them, yeah, for sure. At the same time, from like a realistic standpoint of looking at Buffy Summers, I'm like, girl, there's no fucking way you're gonna look at this man and say, like, you know, I could do it. And that's my main concern right now. Because if that wasn't the end goal, then what is the end goal for Spike's storyline here? Because I'm looking at it from like a character arc of like, what are we doing with Spike? What is the not even a character arc, but just like storytelling beats? Is like, what is the ending for this? What is the ending for Spike? And one of them has to be like Buffy and Spike get together, and that is a concern for me. Or maybe not a concern, but just something that I don't necessarily want to see her do, because that's a bad choice. But it would make for an interesting beat for her character, because she is completely aware of the fact that Spike is a shit. And it is ultimately her choice that she may take, and sure, it may happen. But okay, let's talk about Spike. I'm just going in circles, so let's just talk about him in this episode. Drusilla showed up. The credits spoil me on that. I hate that. Like, and it's like some episodes I just cover them, but this episode I forgot to cover the credits. And I just saw Drusilla shows up, and that just made me sad. Drusilla has been an Angel, by the way. She's been hanging around in Angel alongside Darla. I liked her. I liked seeing her again. I like Drusilla a lot. I was watching her in Angel and a couple episodes ago, and I just kept thinking, like, damn, like, this is the reason why I really like this character. Like, I'm being reminded, because she's just, the way she acts, the way she says things, and the things that she says are so, like, they may not mean anything. She's just saying words, but she says it with like such emotional honesty. Like, because I think I explained this a little bit in Angel, but I think that's something I don't like, is having no emotional honesty. I think that I don't like whenever there is something that maybe like makes me feel bad. It unsettles me, and it unnerves me, is seeing emotional dishonesty, which is somebody acting in such a manner where even if they are telling the truth, the emotion that they are displaying is fake. That makes me feel really unsettled. I don't like that. It makes me not like that character immediately. Just immediately distrustful, immediately don't like them. Fuck them. I don't like them at all. The opposite of that is someone who's saying something that's completely fucking wacko. It doesn't mean anything. It's fucking crazy. But the emotion of it is real. And that is what Drusilla represents. And I'm in love with that, actually. I'm in love with someone who's just, I don't know what the fuck she's saying, but she really felt the things that she said. And that makes me go like, oh, yeah, you know, like, I'm with you. I don't know what you said, but it's gonna be okay. Like, yeah, the rats will sing or whatever. I don't know what she said, but yeah, I'm here with you. Like the emotional honesty of it is what makes me like Drusilla so much. So, yeah, I just like her a lot. I hope we get to see her in the next episode of Angel, because she's been missing for like 2 episodes, but, you know, she was set on fire because Angel is going bad boy mode. So, yeah, that's what's happening in Angel. But yeah, Drusilla is cool. We got Harmony this episode as well. I like that Harmony was the one that shot Spike. Something I wanted to say is to, like, earlier in this episode, Harmony was actually such a good, like, supportive partner. First of all, she's role-playing as the girl that Spike is obsessed with. Maybe Harmony's too dumb to notice that, so maybe she didn't know that that's what she was doing, entertaining his fantasy. But she's up for that fantasy. That's nice. That's a receptive partner that is willing to do the things that you want to do and you feel vulnerable expressing, and she's down for it, and she's like, yeah, I'll do it for you. That's nice. Also, when Drusilla showed up, Harmony was like, oh, you're Drusilla? Like, listen, I can't believe you have the nerve to show yourself your fucking face here after what you did to my Spiky, like the way you treated him, and I had to pick up the pieces, like the way you left him, you hurt him so bad. And it's this thing of like, she was actually being a very supportive partner, just standing up for Spike, just being like, this is all the things that you did, and you really hurt him, and I really care about his feelings. She was being so nice, supportive, and I feel like that was what made Spike go like, fuck you. Like, this makes me feel more emasculated. So no, I'm actually gonna go with Drusilla now. But so maybe that's what did it. But it was actually very nice of Harmony. It was so cool and supportive, and you know what? Harmony is good. So that's why I like when later in the episode she showed up and fucking shot him in the back with a crossbow. It was nice. And then Harmony had a girl boss moment of realization of like, you know what? I was under the idea that maybe if I gave you and gave you and gave you and acted for you and did all these things for you, like I could. She was going on her I can fix him journey. She was definitely going for that. So Harmony was just like, yeah, I can change him, I can fix him. Like, you know, he's hurt, he's going through a lot, and I'm gonna help him. And if I keep doing things for him, like maybe we'll be happy, maybe he'll love me like that. And it's like, no girl, get out of there, it's not gonna work. And I like that she had that moment of realization, which is true, by the way. It was like, no girl, like get the fuck out of here. Like, stop doing things for someone who's not gonna give you back what you want. Because like, definitely, like, I never at any point had any like feeling that Spike might give a shit about Harmony, which is like, I like her, like Harmony's so dumb and ditzy, but like at the same time she's like actually kind of nice. She's also kind of like weirdly inoffensive in like a twisted vampire way of like, you know, she's just so incompetent that I don't think she can do much. So at this point I just kind of like her, and like having her have this moment of realization, I'm just like, yeah, dump his ass. But okay, we have to talk about this moment that Spike had whenever, so he tied Buffy and he also tied Drusilla, and before Harmony shows up, he has this like outburst. Well, first of all, he sets this like ultimatum to Buffy, and it's like, I am gonna kill Drusilla for you. All you gotta do is just like show me like a smidge of like a potential, like maybe you can love me at some point. Buffy is like, no, fuck you, because Buffy is gonna Buffy. That's how Buffy rolls. Buffy's not gonna, if you threaten Buffy with something and it's just like give her an ultimatum or whatever, like Buffy's not gonna respond well. But Riley gave her an ultimatum. She was like, "Fuck you," and then it all ended. But even beyond that, like Buffy's very rebellious. Like if you tell Buffy, like, you know, like just give me something, just give me a thing, Buffy's gonna be like, "No, fuck you. In fact, I want to give it to you even less." Maybe she would if you didn't demand it, but not like this. This was never gonna work. Then he goes like, fucking give me like as much that you love me or I'm gonna fucking kill you. He went all for all on this from Notre Dame, and Buffy was like, no, fuck you. And then he just has this outburst and he just starts screaming, starts throwing a tantrum, throws random shit, and then he starts screaming, what the bloody hell is wrong with you bloody women? What the hell does it take? What do you bitches torture me? It's your fault. You're the one to blame for all this. And he starts pointing at Drusilla. He starts going through like his Tommy Wiseau moment. You know? He starts just like freaking out and just being like, just destroying everything and blaming everyone for every issue that he has. And it's this thing of like, he's so selfish and self-centered. And I can guarantee you 100% that watching that scene, it was a defining moment for people to either fall in one or the other group of people who hate Spike or people who love Spike to an unhealthy amount. Because there's two ways you can take that scene. One of them is like, this guy sucks, fuck him. And the other way is, oh, this guy sucks, fuck him. Again, I hang out around Tumblr too much. I have many mutuals. They are the second group. The second group loves to shed. This guy is a piece of shit, and that's why he's fun, and that's why you're into him. And the other group is people with like a degree of common sense who for those people, maybe this is too real, And you don't want to see that ever. You want to never, ever, ever. Like, this makes you feel disgusted. So there's only two ways you can go with this. I am definitely the former group. I think he sucks. I don't want him around. This fucking bullshit shit. Well, no. I think he's interesting, but I don't want him to get anything. I want him to keep like getting L's and keep being a pathetic fucking low boy and never get anything of what he wants. But I think that I see the path. I see the potential for the storyline being, again, using Notre Dame here. Buffy is Esmeralda, and Buffy is infatuated with someone who is an absolute piece of shit, which is Spike. But we can't really tell her, like, Buffy, don't do that, because at the end of the day, it is Buffy's decision. If Buffy is into pieces of shit, then fuck me, I guess that's what we're doing today. I guess that's just a character. That wouldn't necessarily be on like the writers trying to say anything about Spike and like how Spike deserves anything, because he's constantly being called out on everything he tries to do. I think it would be more so on the idea that this is just what Buffy wants. And maybe this is more about like Buffy just having horrible fucking taste in men, and that's just it. But that hasn't happened yet, but I am bracing myself for it. I feel like the Spike-Buffy dynamic is something that has been festering for too long for it to not go anywhere. This isn't anywhere. We're definitely got to somewhere here. There is something here, but I don't know where exactly is going to be the ending for it. Hello. Just an extra thing I wanted to add here is that I forgot to mention that something that Spike did kind of say during that moment when he was having his outburst, near the end actually, before he got shot, is that he directly, this was the moment that I feel maybe got to Buffy the most, which is the moment where he directly acknowledged the fact that what he feels is wrong. He concedes the idea that his attraction towards Buffy, he himself sees as something that's wrong and that shouldn't be. Which is very interesting because, like, that's probably, if there is a way for Buffy and Spike to end up together, it would be through that. It will be through the shared sense that this is something that's wrong. Because I went into this like lengthy just conversation about like love and, you know, where does love come from and what makes it right or wrong or whatever. And ultimately it's like, it's something that you don't really have much control over. It's not something you have much power over. And the thing is that Spike feels like he has this crush on Buffy. He cannot stop thinking about her and he's incredibly obsessed with her, but he himself doesn't like it. He doesn't like that he feels this way. He doesn't think that it's right for him to feel that way. Like, he fought against it for so long, and at this point he's just kind of given up. But he, like, even in this episode, he acknowledged, like, this is wrong, I don't like this. And if there is a way for them to feel a connection towards each other, it might be through that, because maybe Buffy will share that exact sentiment. Because something that we see in Buffy is that, like, okay, do we have any clear reason as to why Buffy wouldn't want to be with Spike? And the answer is no. Everything that Buffy has given us as to, like, why she wouldn't be with Spike is her being like, no, that's wrong. But what Spike is kind of bringing to the table is that he's saying, yeah, it is wrong, and I hate it, but I still feel this way. Well, Buffy is saying, yeah, it's wrong, and that's why I don't want to entertain the thought. But the question is, if she were to entertain the thought, if she were to essentially say, like, you know, it's wrong, but maybe do I still feel something? Would she give in? And that is the path from which this might become real. Is that Spike is essentially bringing the idea that I know it's wrong, and I feel that it's wrong, and I hate it, but I still feel this way. Maybe Buffy will also follow suit and say, yeah, I also feel that it's wrong, and I fucking hate this, and I hate you. Kiss me, right? Like, maybe that will be what happens. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I remember when that happened. I remember that moment. I remember that was the moment that felt more... It felt the most honest from Spike, and I felt like that was like the only moment that maybe go through Buffy a little bit. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to mention. Yeah, okay, sure. Going back to the episode. Let's talk about Dom for a second here. I'll try not to be sad, but let's talk about Dom for a second. And I do like that what I said a couple episodes ago actually came true. It was last episode. Spike was like weirdly the only person that like treated Dawn with like any like respect, like an equal. Like, oh, this is another human being. Everyone else was treating Dawn weirdly. Everyone was being secretive, and everyone was just like, yeah, everyone was just weird around Dawn. So in my discussion, I mentioned that like the reason why Spike and Dawn hang out that time is because like Spike was treating her normally, and maybe Dawn kind of liked that. And I was mentioning how when Spike called Buffy out on Buffy being just not trusting Dawn or treating Dawn weirdly, I was thinking like, Spike is kind of the only person that did that, actually. So Spike is actually in the right here, and Spike was actually kind of the only person that maybe Dawn enjoyed being around. And this episode actually comes in and says, yeah, that's exactly what happened, actually. And I like that I was able to call that. I like that I was able to see that because it wasn't explicitly shown to us, but it was something that you could infer from just the interactions, because everyone that wasn't Spike was being weird. And Spike was just like brutally honest and just brutally just himself. And Dawn enjoyed that because Dawn was like, everyone is just weird around me. You're the only one who's just normal and honest. You're a piece of shit, but you're honest, and I like that. And then Spike was like, hell yeah. But maybe that is developing in a weird crush that Dawn might have on Spike. And if that is the case, I don't know, this becomes so fucking murky. This becomes so weird. Is that it for this episode? Is there more I can say about it? I think that might be it. I mean, Drusilla showed up, but like it didn't matter that much. It was mostly a Spike episode. Drusilla was just along for the ride. I would have liked to see more of Drusilla. I like Drusilla as a character, so I would have liked to see more of that. There is this introduction that vampires can love. The way love works might be weird for them as well, and it's something we have been thinking about for a while, because it's like we don't exactly know how a vampire, someone without a soul, can actually love and care or be obsessive or whatever. To like, how does that manifest? And I feel like they've been playing fast and loose with those rules, because maybe there are not so much rules. As long as you don't hard define it, you can kind of play loose, and that's fine. So I think that that's mostly what they're doing with vampires and feelings and love. Drusilla had a moment where she mentioned like, oh yeah, we can love. And it is maybe a little bit different and weird, but like, and something else about Spike is so like, whenever Drusilla was like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill and drink people, Spike did drink that woman, but he didn't kill her. At that point, it was just dead food, so it was like, well, I guess I'll drink it. But even then, he looked like he maybe didn't want to do that. Like he was actually second guessing himself. And Drusilla is actually pulling that out of him, and she mentioned like, you feel like you're not a beast, like you feel like this is not you, but I know what you are. It's this thing where like Drusilla is grabbing the evil out of Spike and pulling it to the forefront, but maybe Spike is seeing himself and he's thinking like, maybe this is not what I am anymore. Like maybe this is not me. Maybe he's having this moment of like, am I good? Am I like normal? Like, am I just not a fucked up evil guy? Because like Spike definitely feels like he wants to get that validation that he is, but now that Drusilla shows up and she gives him that validation, but she demands for him to keep doing it, Spike is like, I don't know if I can keep doing it. I don't know if I want to do this. Like, because maybe the idea of like Spike being all powerful and bloodlusty and whatever, like that came from Spike feeling like he had like power or control, like, but now it's starting to feel more like, who are you? Like, what exactly are you about? And I don't know if Spike knows. I don't know if I know what Spike is about. I think he's just incredibly obsessive with Buffy, but I don't know beyond that point. So I think Spike is kind of a character that's being redefined, and I don't know where it's gonna land. So okay, that's what's interesting about Spike. Okay, I don't know if there's anything else I can say about this episode. Like, maybe, but right now I'm not thinking about it. It's just fucking. I feel like the episode ended and I feel unsatisfied with it, because it was just Buffy leaving and Spike being like, "No, don't leave me," and Buffy was like, "Fuck you," and just closed the door on him. And it didn't end in a way that felt like there was any resolution to this. So this is going to be ongoing. In fact, it has like exploded to such a degree where I'm looking at next episode title, and it's called "I Was Made to Love You." Kind of a good Kiss song, but I don't want to give Kiss credit because Gene Simmons is in it. Maybe the next episode is going to be a continuation of this, so I don't know how much I can say. I did a lot of like weird literary analysis on a novel that I never read. Maybe I should read it. I don't know how long it is, but from what I can gather here, there's a couple elements here that I can definitely draw to Buffy, and I can like use that in order to say that maybe this is, you kind of call a shot of like maybe this is the way it's gonna go. And if it goes in the way of Buffy being Esmeralda and Buffy choosing to be with Spike despite Spike being a piece of shit, just telling us that Buffy's actually horrible when it comes to picking lovers, then sure, maybe that's the story we want to tell. That would be interesting, actually, because it is something I kind of expressed before, is Buffy's like necessity to find a boyfriend. Almost like she always ends up doing it, and at this point I'm thinking about it and I'm like sure, like I maybe that is not because okay, at first I felt like that was just, you know, the writing being weird. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't think maybe the writing's weird. I think that's just something we're saying about Buffy and her choices. But hey, that hasn't happened yet. It might not happen. Maybe I'm tilting at windmills. Maybe this is not real, but maybe it will become real. I can see it happening. There's many signs for it to be real. So we'll see how it develops. Okay. All right, that's going to be it for this episode reaction. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys next time. Bye. But if you'd like to watch the next couple episode reactions to Buffy, you can do so over at the Patreon. Check out the links below. Social media, all sorts of cool stuff that I do. You can also watch it in your watch alongs. They're fun. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.